there is a lot of chatter out there in the universe around Joe Biden's appearance on the Breakfast Club. I have a lot to say about it. I'm going to say most of it in the next hour. But I want to kick off the show with a public service announcement. And before I do that, I'm going to play the clip that people are most antsy about. Now, I'm going to play most of the interview. It was an 18-minute interview, 17 and 40 seconds that he did with Charlamagne the God today on the Breakfast Club. Well, at least it was promoted today. I'm sure it had happened last night. But I'm going to play this first clip, and then I'm going to give you a public service announcement. Okay? So let's play clip number 4.
Amy Klobuchar was being vetted, and a lot of people on social media, they're not too happy about that. And it's because they want your running mate to be a black woman. I don't know if you saw the op-ed in the Washington Post by some of the leading black women voices in this country. And they feel since black women are such a loyal voting bloc and black people saved your political life in the primaries this year, they have things they want from you. And one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Well, you know,
thanks so much. That's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks. I will come back.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you in person.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, pal. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Charlamagne.
Okay. Number one, let me just shout out Charlamagne. I think, before watching the whole interview, he got the points in. I thought he did an excellent job in asking the right questions, holding the feet to the fire. But it's not about Charlamagne. We're going to talk about Charlamagne and his mastery of this interview later. I want to talk, this is a public service announcement to white people. Particularly white people who feel that they're allies, white people who think that I love black people. I think black people are wonderful. I'm out here. I march for black people. I'm a champion for black people. I don't see color. Those white people too. Those white people who think, and maybe you have black friends. Maybe you're married to a black person. Maybe you've only hung out with black people in college. You love rap music. You love R&B. You can dance. You can hold you have rhythm. You can hold a tune. This is to those white people, because those, to me, are the white people that are way more dangerous than okay. I'm going to put a pin in that for a second, because I was about to go on a tangent. This is a specific message. Just because we make you feel comfortable does not mean that you can be comfortable. Just because you've been in a room and the N-word was tossed around, and you might have even gotten on stage with Jay-Z and Kanye and used the N-word and they didn't chastise you, does not mean that you have the license. Just because you may have some black friends doesn't mean that you're okay with us. And just because we may vote for you 96 to 98% does not mean that we even actually think that you're valuable, valid, or competent. It just means that black people are real good at making chitlins. We're real good at making chitlins, which means when given the scraps and entrails, we'll figure out how to eat off of it. But it doesn't mean that that's our choice. Doesn't mean that's what we want to eat just because we can make it delicious. So don't get it twisted. Joe Biden and any other white person, Hillary Clinton found that out, who thinks you think that because you are around us and we may even give you permission to do things that are reckless. And this is to black people right now. Let's stop doing that. Let's stop making white people comfortable, and let's stop putting them on pedestals, because here's the problem. Those black people have given you license to feel like you could talk to us any kind of way. They're either brain damaged, they don't know who they are, or they're playing a game for their own self-aggrandizement or position in life. All of those things are on the table. But a person who's really about this life, they're not going to allow you to do this. And unfortunately, we have been conditioned over 200, 300, 400 years to believe that what you say is usually right, and where we want to be is where you are. And that's wrong thinking. So we're going to talk about this today. Joe Biden talking about you ain't black. First of all, you're looking for our vote. Here's the power position, sir. You're the person who needs something from us, not the other way around. And don't get it twisted, because you will lose. I'm telling you this right now, not because I want you to, because I'm voting for you. But you will lose if you feel like they're not going to vote for Trump, so they don't have a choice. No, we have a choice. The choice showed up in 2016, and we got Donald Trump, because 100 million people sat home. And they weren't wrong for sitting home, because there was nothing on the table for people to show up for. But now look where we are. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and we see what that looks like. So yeah, most of us are probably going to vote for you anyway. But don't think it's because you deserve it and your record speaks to something that we should be even concerned with. This is not what you've done, it's what you're going to do. So if you got a whole black agenda, but you don't come out and tell people that if they don't vote for you, they ain't black. First of all, would you use that vernacular with white people? You don't have to talk down to us. Most of us are pretty intelligent. You don't have to code switch, because you can't, because you're white. Only black people code switch. Barack Obama did it, but he has the license to do that. You don't have to talk ain't and man and all of this. Stop that. It's pandering. It is patronizing. And once again, it's forcing us to make chitlins. I wanted to vote for you because I liked you and who you stood for. But let me just be very clear. This vote is not free. And you may still lose, because the people around you, and again, a lot of folks surround themselves with black people, but they're black people who are conditioned in whiteness. So they're conditioned to kiss your ass and tell you you're right and everything's good. I'm going to tell you right now, Joe Biden, it ain't good. Everything's not good. And while I listened to the whole entire interview, and you said some really great things, you chipped away at some things just by showing up with this entitlement. And I get it. You're 78 years old. You've been entitled your whole life. And I don't give a damn how much time you spent in the projects with Corn Pop and how long you've been around black people and Obama and Barack, and you want to call him by his first name. It's Mr. President. That's the respect of the office. Yeah, it's Mr. President, not Barack. So here's what I want to say. I'm voting for Joe Biden. But this vote is going to come with a tangled web of asks, and also it comes with conditions, and those conditions are going to come around really quickly, to the point that I think we should be preparing now for his opponent. That's how strong I feel about this. We need to not hold our nose and vote for the lesser two evils. Right now, today, we need to start to vet candidates who will represent the United States of America that I want to live in. So I just needed to say that, get that off my chest. And for black people, again, I understand conditioning. Somebody said to me today, I need to be a little less, a little bit more forgiving, because that conditioning is so deeply tied to who we are. Let's stop begging people for things, because we don't have to. We're in a power seat right now. We can literally determine who's going to be the next president of the United States, as we always have. We've always had the power. I don't know why we have these people show up to our churches, and we're just so happy. And we got so much reverence and respect. Based on what? Based on what? They work for us, not the other way around. We are acting as if we're begging massa for more scraps off the table. Let's stop doing that. And black folk who out there giving white people the license to say any old kind of thing because they can rap or they can clap on beat. Toni Morrison, one of the greatest writers of all time, I loved her, but the biggest mistake she and Maya Angelou made was to declare Bill Clinton the first black president. Let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing that. And if you have friends and you like them and you're not holding them accountable, you're part of the problem. Okay, so I think we have a two-front situation going on. Part of it is how we've put white folk on a pedestal to the point where they feel like they could just come in and talk to us any old kind of way and pat us on the head. That's not going to happen anymore. But also, I think we need to value ourselves a little bit more. We're going to move over to Craig in New York. Welcome.
Hey, Karen, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
Hey, so this whole Biden situation, I kind of feel like, I'm going to vote for him regardless because I can't stand Trump. He put hate in so many people's hearts that I can't stand that. You shouldn't have hate in your heart, but he's pursuing that. So that's on another topic. But I think for 2024, I think people should start looking at independent candidates, to kind of break themselves from being sheltered down to this whole vote Democrat, especially for black people. I think we need another option other than Democrat and Republican.
I think that's what I said, too. I think we should be in all parties, number one. And the time to do that is now, not 2024. The time to do that is right now. So we need an independent party candidate that we think is dope. We need a Democratic candidate that we think is dope. And we need a Republican candidate that we can offer up, because we should not be sitting at home with no options in any of the parties. I've talked about this way before 2016. The Party of Lincoln was all about having political maturity and being able to go into primaries and provide ourselves with choices. This wasn't about ideology and being wedded to, I'm not a Republican, I can't stand them. This was about, let me put somebody in that Republican seat who thinks like me.
Right.
Because the parties don't matter. Lincoln was a Republican and freaking George Wallace was a what? A Democrat. He would be a Republican today, George Wallace. Mm-hmm. All of the racist-ass presidents before Lincoln, who was a racist-ass president, that's all we've had, by the way, they were Democrats. The people who owned my ancestors were Democrats. And now the Republicans are that part. So let's stop being politically immature and wedded to these parties and start figuring out how we can infiltrate all of them. It's just strategy. It's just strategy. All right. Let's see if the phone lines. Is Michael's phone better in Minnesota?
Yes, it is.
All right, good.
How are you, Karen? How are you, Miss Hunter?
I'm good.
You are lighting up this phone today, this line. And I really appreciate and respect all of your comments. But I just want to ask you a question. So can we agree to disagree on a couple of those points that you were making?
It depends.
Okay, let me shoot. Let me take a stab at it. So we knew what we was getting when we got Joe Biden. We knew he was flawed. And while we at this point, I don't think we should be like, well, hey, he's this and he's that way. I think in the process, when we are selecting our candidates, we should do thorough backgrounds. We are some of the most intelligent human beings on this great earth, and white people don't give us credit for that.
Who
and
cares?
I think if we start exercising,
who cares what white people like? Let's stop doing that. First of all, Michael, I agree with everything you said. I agree. So where do we disagree?
And we know right from wrong. And this is not the time. I don't think this is the time. Saying, well,
so what do you you're disagreeing with me? Wait, come on. Simple question. What do we disagree on? You disagree with me laying this because this is not really about Joe Biden. This is about your teacher. This is about the person that calls himself your boss. This is about every place that we move in the world where we diminish ourselves to make somebody else feel like they're valuable and valid, that they're right when we know damn well they're not. This is about coming into a place where we've elevated a person to think that they could talk down to us and wag their finger and tell us who we are and what we should be doing. This is for everybody out there who calls themselves an ally, but really don't see us as being smart or capable or all of the things that they really want to pat us on the head, tell us to shut up and sit down because they know better. This is for all of them. And so this, for me, is not even about Joe Biden. I'm voting for him no matter what. I said this from the beginning, though. He could be a stem cell. I don't care if he's impaired. I don't care if he can say the ABCs, if he's got a mental problem. I don't care. I'm voting for him. I said that day one. This is a conversation about all of the ways in which we have to swallow because we haven't done the work for the last 40 years to put people in their place. This is on us too. All of the people who sat with Bill Maher and told him it was okay to use the N-word, Those people, because he smokes weed, so he's cool and somehow he has the license to, he's down with us. No, he's not down with us. And I'm not saying that no white people are down with us, but how to be down with us is to be down with us the way Jane Elliott is down with us, to be down with us the way Robin DiAngelo is down with us. That's how you're down with us. Go out there and gather up your white folk, all of them people out there in them streets calling the cops on us, and tell them it's wrong. I don't see you in the streets saying that, though, white people in numbers. I don't see you storming the places when Aubrey is shot and saying, this shouldn't happen in my America because this does not represent me. That's how you help black people. Help gathering up your people. That's what this conversation is about. It's not really about Joe Biden. So where do we disagree, Michael? Hello? Hello? Is this? Hello? What now?
You read
What?
his apology. You read his apology. He's
Who,
walked
Joe
it back.
Biden?
Yes.
You want to read it? You want to do a dramatic reading? Could you do a Joe Biden impersonation?
I don't even know his voice.
Just stutter a lot. Just stutter a lot. All right. That's mean.
Yeah, I'll just read it. So look, though, whoever wrote it was very sincere. It's written very sincerely. I should not have been so cavalier. I've never, ever taken the African-American community for granted. This is what Biden said on a call with members of the U.S. Black Chambers Incorporated, adding he shouldn't have been such a wise guy. Whoever wrote it is sincere. Whoever wrote that.
You don't think Joe Biden wrote it?
Like I said, whoever wrote that is very sincere. I believe it.
This is what I wanted to say. All right. I said what I said, top of the show. And let me just be clear again. I don't know what's in Joe Biden's heart. He seems like an affable man. He seems like a nice man. I think that he's like, and to me, there's a composite, you know. He's a microcosm of all of the things that happen at a certain level. No, he is definitely not Trump. Somebody compared it to, like, you know, Joe Biden. There was a thing that was trending on Twitter that Joe Biden is a racist. I don't think he's a racist, but I think we live in a racist society. And if you're of a certain age, you have certain impressions of people. You know, I have black friends. Right there, that's a racist thing. Because either you have friends or you don't have friends. Your black friends, you got white friends. Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Even like if I have a friend, it's a friend. If you're part of my family, you're part of my family. I don't say white family members. I may say white people call up. But if you're part of our family, you're already grafted in. That's a given, right? But I do think the way in which he was condescendingly talking to, and he did have like a chip on his shoulder, you're asking for our vote.
Right.
So that comes with a level of humility that you have to show that, I respect that I need this vote. South Carolina, he was bragging about South Carolina. Dude, you wouldn't have won South Carolina without Clyburn. Period. With a T at the end. There's no way you win South Carolina without James Clyburn putting his whole entire weight behind you and making it okay for folk to say, okay. But again, just because we rock with you don't mean that you're cool with us. And I think people need to really understand, you may be invited to the cookout, to our churches. We may laugh and giggle and chuckle with you, but we're pretending by and large. Or we don't know who we are. There's two categories of black people. Those that are going to pretend to like you, and those that just, we ain't quite sure, Massa, what's going on with ourselves, right? And then there could be a genuine thing if you're genuine. But by and large, those relationships are not equal. You're a politician. You're not really our friend. Do you know what I'm saying? You're asking for something from us. Or we're in a job situation where I need my job. So I'm like, okay, we'll go out to dinner. I'll golf with you. And I may even talk like this. And, oh, buddy, you're just so, but we don't really like you. We just are trying to, get our paycheck.
What's really unfortunate is, the people who have reconciled with why they didn't like Joe Biden 15, 10, 20 years ago, finally have come over the last few months, accepted him as the likely nominee front runner. And then to wake up this morning and hear this, my whole thing, I'm stuck on one thing. I'm only stuck on one thing, and that is you, Joe, don't get to decide who black and who ain't. You don't. You cannot. That's not even scientifical. That ain't socially. You can't. You don't. So when he said that really toned everything out for me. Like, I ain't got nothing else after that, because I'm like, how? Wait, Joe, how? How you can't say that. That's not for you to say.
But he said it.
Yeah,
because he said it and it said it with confidence. Like,
Well,
and like
yeah,
he had
but
been
they
thinking
make
about,
nations.
like, you
Yeah.
ain't black, and then use ain't. Like, I was like, what? And for people right
You
now,
are
this
voting for Trump, and you ain't black. Says who? Says who? You? Nah, champ. That's not how we rocking
there's
over
a
here.
there's somebody on Twitter like telling me that white people code switch. And I'm like, okay, that's possible. I think that there are people who code. What I'm saying is Joe Biden or anybody like Hillary talking about, hot sauce in her bag, and then all of the different ways in which black people code switch.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish my point. Black people code switch for survival. We don't code switch because we like to code switch. Those of us who code switch, we recognize that the way that we naturally show up in the world is offensive to some people. And it could mean a promotion, or it could mean that I don't get this job. So when I show up to a job, I'm going to wear my suit. I'm going to talk a certain way. My hair is going to be pressed or what have you, because I know that that's the way that I have to get. And now I'm saying there are white people that might code switch, but you don't code switch coming to the black community because what is that? What is that?
Let me shut that argument down. So code switching is up. Code switching goes up. Pandering goes down. So that whoever said that's null and void. You code switch up. You know, in a professional generic setting.
Right.
You pander down.
Thank you.
So that's different. And white people rarely people of without color, as I like to call them. Rarely have to code switch. So when and if they do, if they're considered that everyone else has to meet, whenever they leave the standard, they're pandering by definition.
Thank you, Lamont. That took my temperature down too. I appreciate that.
Oh, well, did I cool you off? Okay.
You did. Yeah, thank you. Because I'm like, why don't people get this? Like, how am I having this argument with a black person?
You know what it is? It's your background, and they'll see it later. It's your background. It's your virtual background. You want all the smoke. You literally have.
So you're saying I have manifested the very thing that I'm getting through. Yeah. Okay, I received that. I receive it. 866-801-8255. Anyway, let's play cut to Joe Biden on the Breakfast Club. And again, it was a 17-minute clip. I have a bunch of them. I'm going to play two more, and then we're going to have a conversation. Cut two.
I told you when I got to South Carolina, I won every single county. I won a larger share of the black vote than anybody has, including Barack. I increased the vote in Virginia overwhelmingly by 70%. Look, what people don't know about me is I come from a state that's the 8th largest black population in America. The 8th largest. I get 96% of that vote for the last 40 years. They're the folks, as they say it my way, brung me to the dance. That's how I get elected every single time. And everybody's shocked. I get overwhelming support from the black leadership, young and old. Every poll shows me way ahead. And it's not just, I hear this, oh yeah, old blacks are with Biden, but youngs aren't. Look at the polling data. Polling data, let's say it's off by half. Come on, man. Give me a little break here. This is where I come from. I got involved. I came home from college, and I had a job with a really fancy law firm out of law school. And my city is the only city in America occupied by the National Guard, the military, for 10 months when Dr. King was shot. And I had this fancy job, a kid coming from a lower middle income household. I quit and became a public defender. And I stayed in that community. I was the only guy when I was in high school. I had a job, a country club kind of job at a swimming pool. I was the only white employee in the East Side because I wanted to work in the projects, because I wanted to understand. That's how I got involved in politics. That's what this is all about for me. It's about equality. It's about dignity. It's about treating people with respect. And so, when you take a look at my record, people talk about the crime bill. Crime bill didn't increase mass incarceration. Other things increased mass incarceration. And the reason why, if you go back and look, and I know you talk about it, you go back and take a look. That's why you had the vast majority of the Black caucus at the time supporting the crime bill. Almost every major city black mayor supported the crime bill because blacks were getting killed overwhelmingly as well.
Yeah. Is it possible that Joe Biden is a wonderful, affable, beautiful soul who also has inherent racial bias. Meaning that, and again, what I'm talking about is not somebody that would, want to lynch black people or want to, deny black people rights. I'm just talking about an inherent bias that you believe in your heart that those people are not the same as me, or they're not as worthy or as valuable. Now, you may not treat them that way. It's sort of like how, people treat people who they think are less privileged. You go out of your way to show your graciousness, right? But in your heart, you really don't feel like those people are the same. And it's inherent. It's baked in. Is that possible? 866-801-8255.
Oh, it's definitely possible. He's in America. But I don't even look at it that far. I look at it as he's way too comfortable. And, I'm listening to that and I'm like, take some of that bass out your voice. First of all, Biden, you know what I mean? Because it's like you're almost fed up with being checked on your record. But I don't see you getting fed up this way on different types of outlets. I don't see that. And you could be very well asking the same question, being asked the same questions. So that's the part that I didn't really take too well too. He may not be racist. He may love black people. Some of his best friends may be black. He may have a beer, sit down and have a beer with his homies. But Charlemagne is asking. I think he did a great job of pressing. He was pressing. Like you got this far. You got to know that there's going to be voices that are going to hold you accountable. Like these are those times.
But it's almost as if how dare we question him?
How dare you ask me that? Yeah. And I'm like, what? Why not? What you mean? We gotta get this out the way first, because there's been so much speculation. There's been so much insinuation, innuendo. We hate you. You like it. It's been so much of that. So now, if I get you in an interview, I'm gonna ask you straight to your face. There are people that feel this way about you. What do you have to say about that? And the right answer is not bucking back at me, talking about, man, let me tell you about South Carolina. Man, I used to, my whole neighborhood, man. What you talking about, Jack? You know what I'm saying? Like, take that bass out your voice, Biden. Yeah. Calm down.
Now, he did say some good things about the crime bill in the sense that the reduction there was a reduction in mass incarceration on the federal level. And so he made that distinction. Most people are in state prisons, which is true. He also talked about marijuana during this exchange, and because Charlemagne challenged him on why he wouldn't decriminalize it. Why wouldn't he legalize it as opposed to decriminalizing? He said, well, the science isn't out yet on the harmful effects. And so we let the science lead the case. And then Charlemagne's like, well, we have maybe 40 years of people who have, they're natural studies, people who have been partaking in marijuana. Why can't we just study them? But, I appreciated that he said, let the science dictate what the law is going to be, because that should make sense. But to me, again, we should be able, because I'm getting some pushback and I'm good with it. Listen, I have been really analytical on these airwaves about what I will and will not say. I don't want to undermine Joe Biden's chances to win, but the reality is anybody that's not going to vote for him is not going to vote for him. Me saying what I'm saying, if that gives you permission to not vote, you were not going to vote for him anyway. So go ahead and do what you need to do. But what I'm talking about is this is not about 2020 in November. This is about 2021, 22, 23, and beyond, how we demand the respect that our 96% of the vote should garner. And it should garner the kind of respect of somebody that needs this job. You come differently when you need a job. Yep. I think you don't come into somebody's house kicking down the door and cussing them out if you need a job. You have your hat in hand. You code switch because you are speaking up too. Yes, you code switch differently because you need something from us. Treat us like the people that you need something from, not the people that should just be happy to be there. Because I'm not happy to be there. I'm voting for you and I'm not happy about it. Okay? So let me just be clear. I'm voting for you because I'm mature and strategic, but I'm not happy about it. So I'm planning for 2021 right now. And what that should look like is no longer should we have a candidate that we're like, what the freak? What is this? Oh, we just got to swallow that? We just got to eat these chitlins? No. I want the best spread we can put on the table for the future that I want to see for us. And that requires right now, let's start talking about what candidate do we want to represent us? We're the biggest voting bloc in terms of how we move as a unit. So that means we have an inordinate amount of power. Yes, white people voted for Barack Obama, but we made the difference. And until we came on board in South Carolina, once again, Hillary had a run. People don't remember that. So I think, it's time. Iowa, of course, but when we came on board.
I just think it's odd now, and I always go back to this. We are not a monolith. There's 11,000 different types of black people that think different types of ways. However, to your point, we are a very, very strong voting bloc, and we are an integral part in the fabric of American history. And it just befuddles me how when we start the conversation about things that we want as a bloc, not as a monolith, but as a bloc, as an oppressed ethnic group in America, there's all this discussion. There's all this rap about and questions and people nobody understands. But let any other group that's moving as a bloc ask for things, then there's no questions. It's automatically understood. You want? Okay, well, let's see what we can do. Let's work on it.
Which is respect, though, right? That says, I respect your blockhood. I respect your the way in which you. So I'm going to adhere to the things that you asked for.
The moment black people even think about saying, "Hey, man, look, you stepping up to the plate and all that, and that's cool. We respect that, but it's going to be some things that we're going to ask you for." And then it's like, you asking me for stuff? What you mean? You asking me after all I've done for y'all? That weirds me out because no one else. I could be understudied, I could be misinformed. No one else gets that reaction when they come together and ask their government for stuff. No other group. So,
and here's another thing, and this is a little personal because Urban View, I think, does some of the best work. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on Urban View, but I just think, the audience is one of the dopest audience I've been on radio a lot. You've been on radio a lot. This is one of the dopest audiences that I've ever experienced. To not come to Urban View frequently. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cory Booker, when he was running, he was on Joe all the time, and that's great. Kamala's come in. She's been on a bunch of shows. Julian Castro. Yes, Charlemagne has probably the largest audience. But as you said, it's not, and I was disrespectful, but it's Friday. And I'm going to be disrespectful because, sometimes I'm not that way. But, if you're talking about a voting bloc, people that are actually engaged, people that are going out registering people to vote, people that are working polls, people that are, like, rolling up their sleeves, going up.
Or would donate money.
And who would donate money, you're talking Urban View. So it's nice to get your surrogates, but you want this vote? And yeah, you should court it. Like value it, right? So and every candidate, and again, we just played the Hillary Clinton. Play it again. Play cut 6 again, please.
No more questions? I said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Staged.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now, listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
See. That last part, though, because I'm not even disputing that Hillary Clinton carries hot sauce in her bag. She might do. She might do have hot sauce.
She might do.
She might do.
Definitely don't. Definitely don't.
She might do. But is it working?
Don't.
Is it working? That was problematic for a lot of people. Okay. Kamala Harris wanted to be president. She goes on a Breakfast Club. Play cut 7. That interview was problematic. It's hard to watch. I had to watch it again today. It was hard to watch. Here's an attorney general, brilliant woman, a senator.
You don't think that showed the human side, though? You don't think that was authentic?
Did it? Did you watch it? Did you?
Up until the music part.
Nah, because here's the reality, right? I'm asking to be president of the United States.
True that.
Whether or not, listen, I've never smoked marijuana in my life, but I can make a cogent argument and would to legalize marijuana on these fronts. I don't have to be, we ain't got to be friends. Do you think she would hang out with the people that she's sitting in the room with ever? If we're being honest, and I'm not saying that she's, an elitist or what have you. But and I'm not saying that hanging out with Charlamagne wouldn't put you in an elite category because, Donald Trump hung out with people like Charlamagne. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're categories. And if we're being authentically real and having a conversation today, show up the way you would normally show. Would you have this conversation with Matt Lauer, or not Matt Lauer, because I've been watching the morning show. Oops. With Chuck, whatever his name is. Whatever, the guy that's on Meet the Press. Would you have a conversation with the person for 60 minutes? So that you go to a quote unquote black platform and then you can let your hair down and then talk about smoking weed. A lot of people didn't like that.
I think in that moment though, it fit. It fit more than the Hillary Clinton one did. It did. It sounds wise to me.
I'm making a larger point though. Everybody that went on there and tried to do that thing, it backfired.
I got a larger point than that.
You got a larger one than that? Okay.
Man, the Breakfast Club be ending candidates.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Yeah,
that was my point.
Booker, Yang, Harris. I wouldn't even, if I'm running for something real serious, I wouldn't even do it till I got in.
That's all I was trying to say. I guess I'm not really articulating my thoughts very well today.
No, I get it.
Because it's Friday.
They hit you with the stumbles. They get you comfortable, lull you in.
Because you're not taking the intellect of what they're doing seriously, which is disrespectful too. So you're saying, it's just a Breakfast Club. It's not. They're not really serious. Charlamagne has evolved. Y'all are messing around. And what's his name? The guy that's with him what's his name?
DJ Envy.
Envy. He's a smart dude too. He's a businessman. Angela Yee. She's an intelligent woman. So to come in there and then feel like, I don't really have to bring my A game, that's disrespectful. On all levels, it's just wrong, is all I'm saying. All right, let's go. Robbie in North Carolina. I just had a flashback that was whoo-hoo. Hey, Robbie.
Hey, Karen, how are you?
Awesome.
Good. First of all, I love your show. But I'm a little discouraged. I know Biden made some mistakes in his comments. I'm a little discouraged about how the audience is going to perceive us bashing him like that. I think we all need to stay behind him. And I get a bad feeling about what you're portraying to the audience. And trust me, this is all respect because I love your show. I love you. I love what you do. But I think by bashing him like this is not a good thing for the audience.
So you think that me saying what I'm saying will prevent somebody who was leaning towards voting for him to not vote for him, even though I am going to vote for him and I'm advocating for us to be politically mature.
Excuses not to.
That's my point. So here's my point, because you don't think I thought about this before I opened my mouth today? I went through the whole gamut, and I said to myself, Karen, anybody who's going to not vote for Joe Biden based on what I'm saying, which again, I'm using Joe Biden as a larger issue in America where people are so comfortable to say things. And this is instructive for us to draw a line in the sand, to learn how to advocate, to learn how to hold people accountable, to check and challenge folk. This is what that conversation is. But if you listen to me today and you said to yourself, oh, Karen said that, I'm not voting for Joe Biden, guess what? You probably weren't going to do it anyway, and you were looking for an excuse. So I'm not going to mitigate this space based on what somebody who is not inclined to vote anyway is going to do based on what I'm saying. I'm calling on people to be mature, to be strategic, to grow the F up and recognize what's at stake for all of us in the future. And that requires making some changes right now. We don't have time until November and then we're going to be in a haze or whatever happens. Because I foresaw Trump winning in 2016 when no one else did. And what I'm seeing right now is if we don't hunker down and hold certain people accountable, including Joe Biden, we're going to be in a situation 4 years from now where we're going to be like, nobody did anything, and less of us are going to vote. 100 million people sat at home out of disenfranchisement and disgust, out of a machine, this democratic machine that took us for granted. Nothing has changed in 4 years. They're asking for us to vote again. And I'm not saying anything other than I'm voting for Joe Biden no matter what. But to not hold him accountable, to not check him on this bull crap, to say it's okay, leaves the door open for people to continue to do this. In the workplace, politically, in your neighborhood, you got white people calling the cops for people doing their damn jobs. That's because they feel like they have the license to do that. Take our lives, police officers talking to us crazy, hemming us up. Nah, this goes beyond Biden, and it stops today. So if you don't want me to talk about that, then you don't want me to talk about anything, because it's all under the same umbrella for me, and I have to be true to that. So if you're telling me, sir, if you're telling me that you're afraid that people aren't going to vote based on this conversation, then you're telling me that we just don't deserve freedom, period. And I'm not willing to accept that. I think that we can do two things. I think we can walk and chew gum. I think we are politically astute enough to be able to vote, and at the same time say what he did right there is endemic of why we keep getting taken advantage of. And it's a small thing until it's not, because a frog gets boiled 1 degree at a time. And right now, baby, we cooked.